Hi friends, this is Ravindra Gajjar and I have come up with the most awaited review and probably the hottest topic of discussion in the market nowadays. When you are going to buy any lens in the market and when you are inquiring for any specific lens, the DSLR manufacturers tell you that it's a base lens and whether that should be bought and not the third party lens. Whether you should go for a third party lens or a lens made by DSLR manufacturer only, that is probably the topic of discussion today. Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Panasonic, Sony, they all make good quality of DSLR and mirrorless lenses for their products. At the same point of time, there are some other exclusive lens manufacturing companies like there is Tamron, there is Sigma, there is Samyang, there is Rokinon, there is Yongnuo and number of other companies. How these exclusive lens manufacturing companies survive? They work on the prevailing gaps in the market. If you see from management point of view and marketing point of view, any product is developed keeping marketing gaps under consideration. There could be certain gaps and shortfalls in meeting end user requirements as well. Say for example, you want to buy a lens of Canon in the range of 24 to 70 mm focal length. You have two choices. Either you can buy a lens of 24 to 70 mm f2.8 Mark II lens, or you can buy 24 to 70 mm f4 lens with image stabilization. If I want to buy a lens in the focal length range of 24 to 70 mm with constant aperture value of f2.8 with stabilization, that is image stabilization IS, I don't have any choice in Canon. Why image stabilized lenses are required? When you are shooting with high megapixel cameras, like say 5DSR, 5DS, almost 50 plus megapixels of camera. Such a massive megapixel needs lot of understanding of shooting and like that. So if I am shooting a wedding with 5DSR or 5DS camera with such a massive megapixel, I'll definitely look for the lens into range of 24 to 70 mm f2.8 with stabilization. And that gap has been nicely filled up by Tamron and Sigma. These are two companies which are offering very good stabilization of lenses, and specifically speaking on Tamron lens, it gives you full 5 stops of VC approved by Camera and Imaging Products Association, that is CIPA. Nikon does have a 24 to 70 mm f2.8 GED lens in their portfolio. After some point of time, Nikon had to unleash a 24 to 70 mm f2.8 VR lens. This was more of a need of R rather than choice for Nikon. The reason behind is that Nikon does have high megapixel sensor cameras like Nikon D800, Nikon D810, and with the massive megapixel of Nikon D850, Nikon did need a very good stabilization system, that is vibration reduction called by them, in their lenses. Because if you are shooting with Nikon D850 in a relatively low light situation, and if you follow that old thumb rule of photography, 1 by the focal length, that should be your shutter speed, that will not be at all appropriate for the massive megapixel of Nikon D850, that is up to 45.7 megapixels. So at that point of time, if you want to let the ambient light mix well in your photograph, and if you want to get that good visible details and luma level in your background of the photograph, you need to slow down the shutter speed at some point of time. At that time, your camera is prone to camera shake. So to counter that phenomenon, lenses have to be well stabilized. Either you need to carry your tripod or good stabilization system. You all must be aware with the DxO mark, that is a quality rating agency, and that is evaluating different lenses made by different companies in terms of sharpness, chromatic aberration, the perceptual megapixel, vignetting, and lot many quality elements. If you compare these three lenses in the range of 24 to 70 mm f2.8 constant aperture throughout the zoom range made by Tamron, Nikon and Sigma, we can see the test results here in the chart. If you compare Tamron SP 24 to 70 mm f2.8 in terms of sharpness, that renders 17 perceptual megapixels if it is mounted on Nikon D800. On the other hand, if you are checking the same sharpness level with Nikon AFS 24 to 70 mm f2.8 GED lens, then it renders 15 perceptual megapixel of sharpness when it is mounted on Nikon D800. And on the other hand, the lens made by Sigma 24 to 70 mm f2.8, that renders 16 perceptual megapixel of sharpness. Now go into detail, the transmission of light reaching the sensor is 3.2 t-stops with Tamron, With Nikon it is 3.2 t-stops, and with Sigma it is 3.1 t-stop. So on an average they all are performing nearly good in terms of t-stop value of light transmission. Distortion is also same, 0.3% distortion. Vignetting value is also almost same, minus 1.4 eV. They all lenses are showing vignetting at somewhere. The most important parameter which is compared is chromatic aberration. What is chromatic aberration? When light passes through any medium or glass or any object, it will refract. Refraction is bending of light. When light bends, light rays disperse into 7 main colors of which it is made. It is like Vibgyor. Dispersion of light creates a kind of colored outline around a high contrast subject. Say for example, if a person is standing against a bright light source and he has put on dark color of outfit, then you will see a notable color outline around edges of that subject. This is called color fringing as well. Technically speaking, it is a kind of reduced perceived sharpness of the subject. Reduced perceived sharpness is that the acutance level of that subject's outline will be compromised. So relatively you will see that it is a reduced sharpness of the subject. The lens made by Tamron is showing minimum aberration of 6 micron. On the other hand, if you see the chromatic aberration shown by Nikon is 30 microns and aberration shown by Sigma is 26 microns. Now speaking in terms of cost benefit point of view, if you compare Tamron SP20 4-70mm f2.8 DIVC USD lens, Nikkor AFS 24-70mm f2.8 GED lens, and Sigma's 24-70mm f2.8 IF DG HSM lens, when you compare the prices, it will be probably an eye-opener thing for you. If you see the price point of view, you will definitely buy a lens made by Tamron. Nikon does have a lens in the same focal length of 24-70mm with VR also. So when you check the price of VR version, you will probably feel that the lens does not fall within affordability and accessible budget for many enthusiasts and probably professional photographers as well. Perhaps DxO has not still evaluated the range developed by Tamron for generation 2 series lenses. So the data available with us is non-generation 2 lenses only. So now if you see all 3 lenses rated and evaluated by DxOMark in terms of different aspects, I'll give my final verdict and purchase decision to Tamron SP 24-70mm DIVC USD lens. And now Tamron does have their generation 2 series lens which is acclaimed to be performing better than even this lens. Now let us take a case of 85mm lens, which is probably the most appropriate lens considered for portraiture and bokeh. There are 5 lenses evaluated by DxOMark in this 85mm category. There are 2 lenses by Carl Zeiss, 1 lens is from Tamron, and there are 2 lenses from Nikon. When you compare all these 5 lenses in terms of sharpness, aberrations and like that, the first parameter that will draw your attention is there are 2 best performing lenses in this category. One is Carl Zeiss Milvus 1.4 for Nikon that renders 36 perceptual megapixel, and the very second lens which performs up to the mark is Tamron SP 85mm f1.8 DIVC USD generation 2 lens that renders 36 perceptual megapixels. Distortion is almost equivalent with all 5 lenses. Vignetting is also almost equal, but the minimum vignetting shown by any lens is Carl Zeiss apochromatic planar Otus 85mm lens. The transmission of light, again you cannot compare f1.4 lens, 1.8 lens and f2 lens with on different parameters. So probably we will not speak about transmission of light over here, but one most important parameter onto which any lens is tested is chromatic aberration. If you see the minimal aberration available with any lens is Carl Zeiss apochromatic planar Otus 85mm lens that shows 3 micron of chromatic aberration only, and the optimum chromatic aberration shown by any lens is Nikkor AFS 85mm f1.4G. When Carl Zeiss performs so nicely, we all know very well. Should we call Carl Zeiss a third-party lens manufacturer? Should we call Tamron a third-party lens manufacturer? When they are delivering so good quality of lenses in succession. So when you compare prices of all these lenses, it will be an eye-opener session for you. You can get AFS Nikkor 85mm f1.4G at this price and Tamron SP 85mm f1.8 DI USD at this price. Speaking on practical ground, you should not compare these two lenses head to head. The reason is that one lens is having aperture value of 1.4 and the second lens is having aperture value of 1.8. If you see minutely, in order to get 1/3 stop of more light or a wider aperture, should you compromise on vibration compensation? As there is increasing trend of high megapixel camera and kind of candid photography and outdoor low light shooting practices, should you compromise on vibration compensation and get a lens of 1/3 stop of wider aperture, or should you stick to vibration compensation that gives you lot of flexibility on ground while shooting handheld in relatively low light situation with slower most shutter speed? So now looking at the cost benefit point of view, now you'll be pretty clear that you are not compromising in terms of sharpness, quality or aberration and anything, and the only thing which you are paying more is money only if you are buying a lens made by DSLR manufacturer. The reason behind this is that DSLR manufacturers might be having a kit lens to sell, because when they are selling a DSLR, in order to boost sales of DSLR and like that, they bundle the lens, a kit lens with DSLR, and they sell it to you. But for any exclusive lens manufacturing company, they don't have any kit lens to sell. So when you are going for any specific lens manufacturing company which is exclusively focused on manufacturing of quality lenses, you will get all quality at really mouth-watering rates. So in terms of cost benefit point of view and in terms of image sharpness, when you are going for exclusive lens manufacturing company, you are always benefited. It's a win-win deal for you. Here you can compare two strong contenders coming next to each other. That is Tamron SP 85mm f1.8 DI USD generation 2 lens and Nikon's AFS Nikkor 85mm f1.8 G lens. If you compare these both lenses at head to head, you'll see drastic difference in terms of perceptual megapixel. Tamron's lens delivers 36, that is optimum perceptual megapixel, and Nikon's 85mm lens renders 26 perceptual megapixel only. Now let us take a case of lenses made for APS-C sensor cameras. We have here to compare Nikon's 1755mm f2.8 GIF ED lens compared to Tamron SP 1750mm f2.8 Di2 XR VC LD spherical lens for Nikon. Now if you look at the comparison made by DxOMark, this will be probably the best eye opener for you. Greatest difference in terms of sharpness and perceptual megapixel. Nikon lens delivers 7 perceptual megapixel when it is mounted on Nikon D500, and when Tamron lens is mounted on Nikon D500, it renders 12 perceptual megapixel. The light transmission is same by both of the lenses, that is 4T stop. Distortion available with Tamron lens is slightly lesser than Nikon lens. Vignetting is almost equivalent, or I'll say Nikon wins here with 0.9 EV of vignetting. In chromatic aberration, which is very important factor in determining sharpness and quality of the image, that is chromatic aberration, Nikon lens shows 14 microns of chromatic aberration, whereas Tamron lens shows surprisingly reduced 5 microns of chromatic aberration only. Now look at the price range at what you can get both these lenses. If you check Nikon, it is available at this price and Tamron is available at this price. Now you will be able to rest your decision very clearly and very confidently on Tamron lens. The reason is that when you are not compromising at all anything in terms of sharpness and image quality, probably you are getting something better with Tamron. Now let us compare Canon's 1755mm f2.8 IS USM lens with Tamron's SP AF 1750mm f2.8 XR Di2 spherical lens for Canon. When you compare both these lenses, they averagely perform almost equal in terms of sharpness, quality and everything. When you compare Canon made lens with Tamron lens in terms of chromatic aberration, the lens made by Tamron outperforms with only 4 microns of chromatic aberration, whereas Canon's lens shows 6 microns of chromatic aberration. Now when both the lenses are really performing good in terms of everything, why don't you go for Canon lens only, and why should you go for Tamron lens? That should be the biggest question to answer. Looking at the price point of view for both these lenses, again you will be able to make your decision very well. The Canon lens is available at this price range, and on the other hand Tamron lens is available at this price range. The version of Tamron lens compared here is a non-VC lens, so it does not come with stabilization, but Tamron does have a version with stabilization as well, that is called vibration compensation. So if you compare non-VC lens price, that comes at around 50% of the total price of Canon lens, and the version available with vibration compensation comes at almost 60-65% of the price of Canon lens. So if you buy a non-VC lens or VC lens, you will save huge amount of money if you buy Tamron lens, and on the contrary you are getting better sharpness, lesser aberration, and overall a good win-win deal if you are going for Tamron lens. Let us take case of the most important focal length of 70 to 200 mm. If you compare the Tamron SP 70 to 200 mm f2.8 DI-VC USD lens made for Nikon compared to Nikon's own AFS Nikkor 70-200 mm f2.8 GED VR2 lens and Nikon's 70-200 mm f4 GED VR lens. Now let us see the head-to-head comparison of all three lenses. There are two lenses made by Nikon only, that is DSLR manufacturer own lenses, and the lenses made by exclusive lens manufacturing company, that is Tamron. If you evaluate all three lenses in terms of different parameters, the sharpness, that is perceptual megapixel, out of all three lenses, Tamron again outperforms here in terms of giving 22 perceptual megapixel of sharpness, whereas 70-200 mm f2.8 GED VR lens made by Nikon gives 20 perceptual megapixel only, and on the other hand AFS Nikkor 70-200 mm f4 ED-VR lens gives you 21 perceptual megapixel. So again here Tamron wins in terms of giving rendering proper perceptual megapixel, that is I'll say optimum perceptual megapixel. The light transmission ability, I think we should not compare. The only reason is that one lens that made by Nikon is having f4 of aperture value, so the t-stop will be again increased in that aspect. So if we compare Tamron's f2.8 lens with Nikon's f2.8 lens, they both show exactly same amount of t-stop, that is 3.3. The distortion level again is lesser with Tamron lens. Tamron shows 0.2% of distortion. The Nikon's f2.8 VR2 lens shows 0.3% of distortion, and again 70-200 mm f4 lens of Nikon shows 0.4% of distortion. So again Tamron wins here. The lesser vignetting is always better. Will be probably 70-200 mm f2.8 ED VR2 lens made by Nikon, because it shows least amount of vignetting, that is 0.9 EV. Aberration is almost same. Tamron shows 7 microns of aberrations, whereas Nikon shows slightly lesser aberration, that is 6 micron in f2.8 lens, and f4 lens of Nikon shows 7 micron of aberration. So looking at all these parameters, you will clearly find that Tamron is one of the very good contenders to go for. When you see the price range of all three lenses, that will create a great difference on your pocket, not on your image quality. Or if you are fond of spending more money, you should definitely go for Nikon's f4 or f2.8 lens. And if you don't mind saving some of your money, I think if I am in the case, I'll definitely go for the lens made by Tamron in the range of 70-200 mm f2.8 DI-VC USD lens. I would like to conclude one thing clearly here is that, again I'll reiterate, this lens is a non-generation 2 lens which is compared with Nikon's lenses. So now when you compare all three lenses in terms of cost versus benefit, I'll rest my decision of purchase with Tamron SP 70-200 DI-VC USD lens or the newly offered 70-200 f2.8 DI-VC USD generation 2 lens. So probably we have tested different 3 to 4 lenses in terms of sharpness, aberrations and everything. You will be happy to see and notice that the lenses made by exclusive lens manufacturing companies, they outperform in terms of sharpness, perceptual megapixel, aberrations and any other things. So I'll say that wherever there are certain gaps created by DSLR manufacturers, those who are making lenses, these gaps are filled up by exclusive lens manufacturing companies. So rather than saying this company is a third party lens manufacturer, we should say that they are well respected, honored, specialized lens manufacturing companies. They are exclusive lens manufacturing companies rather than they are third party lens manufacturer. Now friends, when we have gone through the rigorous testing results carried out by DxO for different lenses and like that, let us speak on consumer psychology point of view. Why people tend to buy costly and very expensive things? There are multiple reasons behind. Out of those, the reason number one could be they want to show their status. The reason number two could be it's a habitual buying behavior probably. The reason number three could be they want to eliminate that perceived risk probably. The fourth thing which works to great extent is that they are not able to evaluate technical aspects and make their purchase decision. People are not excessive technically sound. Probably they are not exposed to the technical data and inner taste results of certain electronic products. While buying electronic products, we always look at the brand name, warranty, guarantee, the on-ground performance and lot many other factors. So looking at this point of view, I'll say that in certain cases, Sigma, Tamron and such companies offer extended warranties without any additional money as well. You'll be surprised to hear this. In certain peak time of sale and like that, Tamron comes up with extended warranty of third and fourth year as well, given along with the product at no additional cost. If you see certain non-L series lenses or not very high-end lenses and like that, they are made in Taiwan, Thailand, China and like that. So on the other hand, these companies, Tamron, Sigma and like that, they have most of the production facilities located in Japan. So while buying this kind of lenses, you should not look at the quality, you should not look at the aberrations, sharpness, the perceptual megapixel and only things, but you should look at the company's commitment point of view as well. Their production units are in Japan, they give you warranty and everything. So what is stopping you buy this product? The only thing is that a psychological complex, a kind of mindset is always stopping you buy this. But once you look at these test results, all those other psychological aspects and like that, warranty, the company's commitment to production, the overall image quality and like that, if you are making your buying decision on Tamron, Sigma and this kind of exclusive lens manufacturing company, you will be always winning in terms of value and cost as well. Thanks for going through this review and subscribe to our channel for more such reviews. Thanks again.